tree of life is a mystic symbol as old as time, referenced in both the first and last books of the Bible, and within its sacred form lies the keys that unlock the mysteries of the ancient oral tradition passed throughout the lost tribes of Israel. But what exactly is the tree of life? See, the tree of life are the 10 emanations on the flower of life, which is the same pattern from which Leonardo da Vinci derived the 5 platonic solids, as well as the golden ratio of 5. As a simple display of its power, get a ruler and measure your fingers like I'm showing you right now. Okay, measure in centimeter to the closest millimeter from the furthest end of the middle crease of your index finger to the furthest end of the top crease of your pinky, and multiply that by 24. And bam, you have your height within about 1 finger's width due to hormonal issues and missed potential, things of that nature. Well, you ask, but why 24? The answer to that question is simple once you understand that the tree of life is actually the blueprint of life. You see, just as every cell of every visible and invisible thing effortlessly expresses the principles of sacred geometry through the golden ratio, so too does the tree of life act as a map or template of the unseen spiritual world and all of its constructs, both macrocosmically and microcosmically. These relationships can be shown through sacred geometry. The story of creation can even be told through it. Now, before we can start understanding sacred geometry, you need to understand what a circle is and what it means. I'll make a video explaining the symbolism of it in the future, but for now, all you need to know is that the ancients knew the only way to represent something of incomprehensible size was with the perfect round circle. A cycle that repeats, a thing with no beginning or end, no matter which angle you're looking at. You can't comprehend the size, you know? It's so great inside that you have no frame of reference to comprehend just how large it is. You can keep going forever and ever and never reach the boundary. So people were tricked into thinking the earth was flat, it was a square. That's how large it is. Okay, so just put that in perspective. They thought, oh my God, surely we're gonna fall off the end if we go. Just keep going that way. Just keep going that way. Nuh-uh. You just, oh my God, we on the ball. Bro, we're on the ball. How would you map something like this? With the perfect circle, of course. Think about how circles appear in nature. Sonar. The way sound waves travel. Ripples in water. Waves are actually created by energy passing through the water that tends to move it in a circular motion that creates these waves. And even you'll see that a wave curls. You know, it's trying to form that circle. And if you look underwater, you'll see it's kind of like a vortex, a horizontal vortex. I don't know. That's just the way I can describe it. But it's like a circle. You can see it. If you surfed, you know what I'm talking about. But also the fact that it's energy, you know, doing this, creating these circles. You have to think about all the other things. Look at the how light moves like a particle and a wave. Also a circle. Because look at look at the diagrams that they show you. But that is how it moves. That's energy moves in circles is what I'm trying to say. But beyond this as well, nature itself is about circles. The smallest particles that we know about, subatomic particles, atoms, all of these type of particles, they're round, theorized to be round, perfect circles. The biggest things out there in the universe, black holes, spirals, planets, they're circles. The biggest, the largest things are circles. The greatest things we don't understand. Energy moves in circles, waves. That is the point of sacred geometry. And people talk about these other things, the golden ratio of phi. I may not know a lot of the golden ratio of phi and how Fibonacci sequence goes and all that, but I do know for a fact that circles are the real sacred geometry. Okay, that's the heart of sacred geometry. And if you look into what a circle represents and you start extrapolating, adding, looking into the real sacred geometry and the tree of life, you'll start to see that that this gives you a better explanation of sacred geometry than what they have been trying to. And that's what they always do. They mislead the public. They tell them one thing, but then knowing full well it's something else is going on. But I'll get into all of the detail of what a circle, what the how circles are found in nature in future videos. But for right now, this is all you gotta understand. That's why the ancients saw this thing as a god. But that's the circumpunct. So see, Adonai, or EIN SOF the limitless light, was a mere speck of infinite size that filled all of existence, called EIN SOF, with his infinite light. Okay, EIN SOF is the infinite thing, the thing of no end, before it got called everything. So everything in existence is EIN SOF, and that is the circle, because it's the thing of no end. The universe, it just keeps going. And apparently it's growing. It's already infinite, but it's somehow growing. I mean, what the hell? But that is the circle. EIN SOF is the point, the speck of infinite size in the middle, the limitless light. It filled everything, the whole of existence with its light. So it's just beaming these rays. Okay, don't get too caught up in the details. Some people think, oh my word, the fall of man is about a guy eating God's secret apples, finding his stash of secret apples that he's not supposed to touch. No, no, no. It's about way more than that. I'm gonna get into all of this, okay? Because I believe that this knowledge should be free. It should be available to the people. Where were we? EIN SOF filled EIN SOF, all of existence, the limitless thing, the thing of no end, the Nun, the watery mass of Nun in the Egyptian creation myth, filled it with his light. His light is not literally just light, okay? So when we say light, we're talking about metaphorically. I don't know. People just forgot how to speak metaphors. They want to criticize the Lil Wayne lyrics. Like, they want to analyze it too deep. Bruh, it's just entertainment. Okay, the guy's a great lyricist. Like, you can't keep up with today's rappers based on the flow, because their flows is like crazy, okay? But Lil Wayne got he got the lyrics down pat. But we're getting away. You can still keep up because he makes his music interesting based on the lyrics. He makes you think, man. He's the smart man's trapper, okay? He makes you think, come up with all these creative things. And apparently there's people that don't have the ability to visualize. Fantasia. I'm so sorry for y'all guys out there, man. You can't appreciate Lil Wayne. So anytime I hear somebody not appreciating Lil Wayne, I just have a feeling that, bro, you should get yourself checked out. I think you may have aphantasia. Go Google that, okay? But today we have a set time limit to discuss sacred geometry. Oh my God. Anyway, let's get on with it. I'm not cutting any of this out, okay? I want to see if y'all like this. Okay, so yes, like I said, fill all of existence with his light, right? Wherever EIN SOF, this no thing was, okay? Wherever it was, limitless light was two. It filled all of existence, okay? There was no boundary or separation between Elohim and limitless existence. So he's just beaming his glorious light as far as you can see. And he's so great that everything is part of him. Like how you control a dream, and when something happens to you, everyone just stops or attacks you because you're part of everything. Like a god. Everything was just, overwhelmed by his awesomeness. So we came up with a plan. This is called the thought of creation. So, see, God wanted to pass along the light, his light, to his creation so it can flourish and also live for itself, And if they choose, and if the creation chooses to control their impulses and seek the beauty in life of their own volition, well, then that's great. If they choose to worship Adonai without having 100% proof of his existence, especially with people being so cynical these days, okay, that is a truly wonderful thing, because those people can do anything else they desire. But look what they choose to do willingly, okay? They surrender their egoic desires for the greater good, and God loves that. So in order to allow his creation to have free will, to be as it may, he contracted his light, concealing himself in a process known as Zimzum. I'm not good with the pronunciation. My Hebrew is trash. Okay, but this Zimzum created a void of space where creation was allowed to exist independent of his splendor. Okay, he separated the creation from the creator, segregating existence into three parts. Now, okay, now there's three parts. Now it's EIN SOF, right? The infinite light at the center. Remember, he dimmed the switch, contracted to allow space for existence to exist without him. Because science can't even explain. Science doesn't even have an answer. Okay, they're like, oh, you know what created life? The Big Bang. How did the Big Bang come into existence? Oh, I don't know. They don't have an answer. They look, the smaller and smaller they look, the more apparent it becomes that life fits these patterns. So he segregated them into three parts. EIN SOF. Okay. Number 2, EIN SOF, the creation, being the circle and everything in it. Okay, so that's the infinite existence. And then part number 3 is this space over here where there's no light, there's nothing. It's emptiness, that void where his light used to fill, that void is now EIN, the no thing, within the thing of no end. And this emptiness is where creation was allowed to flourish, remember? And back to circles. This is how the Vesica Pisces ties into all of this. The Vesica Pisces is exactly 1/3 of a circle, right? Represents the Trinity. In reference to the circle that we're talking about right now, that represents the child, so to speak, between EIN SOF and EIN SOF. If you have to look at it that way, you don't, because it's not going to make a lot of sense that way. But the Vesica Pisces is that creation. That's the void. You can look at the void as being like just around the circle, or you can look at it as being like a shadow being part of a Vesica Pisces. Now then, if you look at how a cell starts to divide after fertilization, you'll see the same thing. After a couple days, oh my god, I don't know how to explain this to you guys, but just check out the future videos. There's going to be a lot of content that people haven't been told, you know. But yeah, because people seem to think that you get half your genes from your mother, half from your father, which technically that is true, but the genes are randomly recombined, and they seem to forget that the child really ends up looking like either parent because of the environment, that influences temperament, but and also gene expression. And that's the third part of the Trinity. The creation starts to take on a life of its own. That was the thought of the creator. So this Vesica Pisces takes on a life of its own. And then we are left with another circle. That's the third part of the Trinity. The creation takes on a life of its own, if you know what I'm trying to say. By simply creating that empty space, he allowed room for growth. So he indirectly created everything by restricting his influence, by concealing his light. And in the space of that void, this Vesica Pisces, the seed of life, he emanated, created, formed, and made all of the worlds. Okay? That was paraphrased from Rabbi Isaac Luria from Etz Chaim, the Tree of Life. Okay, that's not his exact words. If you want his exact words, go read his book by all means. That's just what I took from it.